You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip comes from Jordana Zeldin. Jordana is a sales coach and the founder of Spring Training, a coaching consultancy that helps sellers and sales teams feel and be more human in their selling. The result? Selling that feels better for you, for your prospects, for your revenue. Here she is.
I often notice that we as sellers don't acknowledge enough that we've got a right in our conversations with our prospects to make our needs known. Of course, at its best, selling is a kind of service, right? We're helping our prospects navigate tough challenges and come up with solutions to make their lives or their businesses better. But in a relationship, both people are allowed to have needs. And I get sellers coming up to me all the time who've been ghosted by a prospect. Maybe they've been following up for weeks or months, and they're wondering, what is the thing that I need to say in order to get this prospect to re-engage? And in my experience, what I found is that if you've been getting ghosted by a prospect for weeks or months, it's probably too late. There's almost nothing that you can say. But what you can do is try to do better in the next conversation by setting the expectations of how you and your prospect are going to be together. And if transparency is what you want, it's something you can ask for. And I teach an agendas framework called Disarm, and the R in Disarm stands for real talk. But really, you can insert real talk anywhere in the selling conversation, from at the end of your meeting agenda to right before you're about to talk about your product or service. And for me, real talk sounds like this. You can use whatever words you want so that it feels natural to you. But when I'm giving real talk, I'll typically say, look, I am a super straight shooter. So if at any moment this feels not what you were hoping for, like the worst thing ever, or anything in between, do I have your word you'll be straight with me? Or can I count on you to be straight with me? And usually the prospect will say yes, and then I'll say something like, and if I discover through the conversation that I'm not your sales trainer, I'll let you know too. And if I can come up with a referral or recommendation, I certainly will. And what that does is it creates a kind of contract, a pact for honesty and transparency, so that at the end of the conversation, rather than just crossing your fingers and sending them off and hoping that they'll come back to you when you agree, to have your next meeting, you can refer back to it and say, look, at the start of the conversation, we made a pact that we were going to be super straight with each other. How are you feeling about this product or solution, right? Is it what you hope for? Do you feel like, having learned more, that this could legitimately help your business, right? Take their temperature, and you are going to get a far straighter, more honest response simply from having made that pact up front than you would otherwise. And if you find out it's no, they're not interested, celebrate, because the permission that you gave them to tell you that in this conversation will save you weeks, if not months, of frustrated follow-up.
To connect with Jordana on LinkedIn and to learn more about Spring Training, just click over to DailySales.Tips/813. Then be sure to come back tomorrow for another great sales tip, or just continue with your binge. Thanks for listening.